Welcome to Off 63rd with Garrard McClendon. Tsunamis and nuclear scares in Japan, bloody political protests in Africa and the Middle East. How can you help? Also, union busting in Wisconsin, Walmart commits to the South Side, Jalen Rose calls Duke University players Uncle Toms, and Bill Cosby has choice words for Russell Simmons. Get ready for fireworks. We have three of Chicago's sharpest minds tonight, and as always, we expect to hear from you. This is Off 63rd, Chicago, from the beach to the burbs. You're watching Off 63rd, and hey, you can call me right now. Phone lines are open, 773-487-3630. Thank you for joining us tonight as we wrestle with issues spanning the globe and around the corner. We're also on simulcast at WKKC.FM and 89.3 FM. Tonight, we have a dynamic trio at the table. First, we have celebrated and highly recognized defense attorney during the Rod Blagojevich and R. Kelly trials, protege of Eugene Pincham and his father, Sam Adams Sr. We've got attorney Sam Adams Jr. with us tonight. I'm pleased to welcome a brilliant person who had the audacity to pick a fight with Garrard McClendon recently at a forum. She's a political action committee chairperson and full-time history teacher at Mason Community Links High School, Stacy Davis-Gates. Welcome. Also, new school media writer and commentator. There's a new young African-American Republican in town, host of Launching Chicago on WVON Radio, Lenny McAllister. Welcome to Off 63rd, you three.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, let's rumble tonight. The phone lines are open. We're going to go from macro to micro. I've got my little list here. We're going to talk global, national. We're going to talk about Chicago, and then we're going to talk about some specific individuals. Let's talk about Haiti and Japan and some of the political unrest that's taking place in the Middle East and in Africa. First question I want to point toward Stacy Davis-Gates. When it comes to world events and how they affect the individual here in the United States, what do you teach your students when it comes to Haiti and the recent tsunami in Japan?
Particularly that the plight of poor people globally is very much the same as it is here in Chicago, as it is here in the United States. And so we have to find those common strands and look at basically, how many poor people are there in the world in terms of have-nots, and then how many haves are there, and how is it that we are still have-nots? How is it that we are still in the situation where we have not unified in such a way that we ask these powerful questions and then unite for action?
Yeah, you know, I'm glad you said that, haves and have-nots. I want to move to Sam Adams Jr. here. American policy towards international disaster. What should be our modus operandi when it comes to sending help to other countries? Should we do that at all? Is it a policy of ours that we should keep? What do you think, Sam?
Well, I think definitely. We have to realize that we are growing into a global economy. We're also going into when you talk about areas of human rights, civil rights, which is what I particularly have my practice in that area. But I think we have to start looking at the world and saying, America, if we're going to maintain our position as the big brother, if we're going to maintain our position, we have to look, and like what she said, with the have and the have-nots, and understand. And not only is it important to help them because they don't have, it also is going to help us here. There are global markets out here where young African Americans on the south side of Chicago can open up markets in China, open up markets in Japan. If we're going to stay ahead of the game, there are 1,000 different areas and businesses in education that can be looked at in Japan. Just take Japan right now with the tsunami. Now, there's probably 10 or 1,500 things that can be done there that young brothers and sisters on the south side of Chicago can get into, start developing to not only help Japan, but start bringing that economic stimulus here as well. Look at Mexico. Mexicans come to this country, work hard, and send that money back. There is no reason we shouldn't be doing that ourselves.
You know what, Stacy, Sam, I'm glad you opened things up. I want to go to Lenny McAllister. Lenny, what should we do with crises that takes place abroad? Should we care, Lenny McAllister?
We absolutely should care, and what we need to do is look at investment opportunities, look at economic opportunities, and look at opportunities to build bridges. Sometimes crises are the perfect opportunities to look at a situation, see where the relationship was previously, and then make adjustments accordingly. It's amazing that we're talking so much about Japan because our grandparents would not have the same views about Japan that we do.
Wow.
So if you look at the 50, 60 years since World War II, they're an ally of ours now. We feel for them. This is one of the biggest disagreements we've had with Japan since World War II when it comes to the evacuation zone. Otherwise, we've done trade, we've gone back and forth, you've seen Japanese cars here for 30 years now. Yes. There are opportunities to do the same in Haiti. What can we do to build that bridge and to build wealth, not just here, but in Haiti, so that we can have another ally that overall we don't have to worry about so much economically for the long term?
You know what? It's interesting that we get to these we are the world moments when something tragic happens. I'm going to take Sue on the phone lines right now because we've been talking about Haiti. Sue, thanks for calling off 63rd with Garrard McClendon. Sue, what's on your mind tonight?
Well, what's is what happened with the Katrina in New Orleans and the earthquake in Haiti. The black people were demonized, saying that it was their religion, they believed in voodoo, or they were bad people, and they deserved it.
Sue, thank you so much for the call. Do people in these countries deserve this? Of course they don't, but why are those lies perpetrated, Lenny?
Well, we haven't escaped that. I mean, we have the Guilford Gottfried situation where he got fired from Aflac. We've seen the inappropriate tweets from 50 Cent. We've heard some of these things as well said about Japan. Now, the trouble is, because of the already shady reputation of the Haitian government from time to time with some of the leadership problems that they've had, as well as, let's face it, we're looking at Japanese Asian folks versus the descendants of Africans. So whether people want to realize it or not, or admit it or not, there is a tinge of racism to some of that. Now, of course, it was very explosive after the Kanye West statement from 2005, where that got interjected with the Katrina statement. But you're always going to have somebody say something that this is God's retribution without realizing that God's a merciful God, too. So Japan, this situation with the earthquake and tsunami was not without somebody saying some extremely inappropriate things as well.
Yeah, you know, go ahead, Sam.
I'd like to also say, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything of that nature, but you also have to take a look at the economics behind a lot of this. Necessity is the mother of invention, and you're going to have a lot of your corporations. Take BP. You're going to have a lot of your national organizations that can go into an area such as Haiti, and now that Japan is going to be devastated, you watch how many corporations are going to go there, and things are going to be cheap for them. They can buy, and in 15 years from now, you're going to find Japan on the top, and Haiti in a lot of areas will be on the top because the corporations moved in. They've decimated an area, kicked out African Americans, or kicked out the native Haitians, and they've built themselves. Cuba's going to be next. You watch. Now that Cuba's going to be opened up, you watch and see how many casinos run down there and open up Cuba. You watch and see how many of the corporations open that up, and it's going to be primarily the corporations that are headed by whites in the community.
This is interesting. It's almost as if it's some sort of economic necessity, or not necessarily conspiracy, but a form of global Darwinism of sorts. I mean, for a tsunami to hit Japan like that, for a disaster to take place in Haiti, for us to have a Katrina disaster here. Before I go to phone, Stacy, talk to me.
Well, you always have a situation where people who already have the means to capital can capitalize in situations like this. They also have a network of people, whereas it makes it easier for them to raise capital, obtain the expertise, and to make these things happen, whereas we're still trying to figure out the means to get these things done. And particularly in a place like Haiti, where you have a depressed economy, a challenged school environment. So you have people who are always in the need of charity and don't necessarily have opportunity. And so we tend to, those of us who have, we tend to see that as an opportunity. However, the disadvantaged often remain disadvantaged, and we don't empower.
I'm so glad you said that. Well-spoken history teacher that you are. It's so interesting that the victors write the books and tell the story. The victims never get that opportunity to even buy the printing press or the ink. Hold tight, Lenny.